Hola chicos, ¿qué tal? Bienvenidos una vez más a mi canal. El video de hoy se trata de cómo se conjuga un verbo en español. Vamos a comenzar. Hey guys, how's it going? Today we're going to take a look at what it means to conjugate a verb in Spanish. Now, the reason I'm making this video is because it's a good foundation video, and a lot of times when I'm working with a new student and I ask them to conjugate a verb, I can tell at that point whether they need a little bit of review over terminology. So even if grammar is not your thing, it's important to be familiar with these terms because they're going to help you in your studies, whether you're learning it on your own, whether you're taking a class. Knowing some basic grammar terminology is going to make things a lot easier for you. So before we look at the term conjugate or conjugations, let's look at the word infinitive. An English infinitive consists of two words, the word to and the verb. So some English examples would be to write, to live, to work. Now, the difference between English and Spanish when it comes to infinitives is that English, as you see, has two words. In Spanish, it's only one word. And the infinitives always end in either AR, ER, or IR. Some examples are hablar, comer, and escribir. One more term I want you to be familiar with is the term stem. You might also hear it referred to as root. So the verb stem is the infinitive minus the AR, ER, or IR ending. Now, what are the stems of the Spanish verbs above? So hablar, comer, and escribir, if we remove those AR, ER, and IR endings, we're left with habl, com, and escrib. When we refer to the stem or the root, that it's the first part without the ending. Now let's talk about what verb conjugation is. So when we use that term, it's referring to how a verb changes or conjugates to show a different person, tense, or mood. So the verb is altered from its base form, which is the infinitive. Now let's look at an example in English. Here's an infinitive, to be. Here is an example of a conjugation, I am. Now, below this in Spanish, an infinitive we have here is correr, and an example of a conjugation of this verb is yo corro. Yo corro. So let's do a full conjugation of an English verb. Right now, we're only looking at the present indicative tense, and we'll get into what that actually means in a different video, but this is just an example, how to conjugate a verb. Now, to write is our infinitive. Now let's go down and review the conjugations. I write, you write, he, she writes, we write, you all, or y'all, if you're in Texas like I am, y'all write, and they write. Now, in English, with the conjugation, there's not a lot of variation. It's very similar to the infinitive, and then on the third person conjugation singular, we have an S added to it. So let's take a look at a verb conjugation in Spanish. Okay, so let's use the same infinitive we reviewed on the other slide, escribir, which means to write. Now we'll go down the list. Yo escribo, tú escribes, usted, él, ella escribe, nosotros escribimos, vosotros escribís, ellos, ellas, ustedes escriben. Now, what do you notice? Each verb conjugation here is different, unlike English. So these different types of conjugations are called personal endings. And we don't have to use the subject pronouns in Spanish unless we are clarifying or emphasizing the subject. The subject of the verb is already contained within the conjugation. If I say escribimos, I don't have to say nosotros because there's only one conjugation for escribimos. It doesn't refer to anyone else. If I say escribimos, it always means we write. And I want to point out one more thing. The vosotros conjugation, remember, that conjugation is only used in Spain. That subject pronoun, vosotros, only used in Spain. In Latin America, the term is ustedes. Okay, so let's do a quick review. What is an infinitive? Take a second. Okay, let's check. That's right. An infinitive is an unconjugated verb. What does it mean to conjugate a verb? Okay. So to conjugate a verb means to change the verb from its base form, which is the infinitive. In our last question for today, what is a Spanish verb stem? Okay. It's the infinitive minus the AR, ER, or IR ending. Okay, so this was just a quick review. We went over some terminology. We looked at some conjugations. I hope this video has helped you out. Please give it a thumbs up if you've liked it. Don't forget to subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time. Hasta luego.